Hi everyone. Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. All the details are in our video. Don't forget to subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and share this video before we dive in. Thank you so much for being here. The loudest whisper running through the industry this week circles around a single, fragile triangle, Hazal Kaya, a former partner she would rather keep off the radar, and Çağatay Ulusoy, whose name has been dancing beside hers in headline after headline. The claim making the rounds is simple but explosive. Hazal grows tense at the thought that her ex, a person who avoids speaking publicly yet occasionally lets old memories slip in private, could cross paths with Çağatay and stir up details that she has worked hard to bury quietly. Sources insist the ex has stayed low-key since their split, telling close friends that there's no desire to be misunderstood. Even so, people who know the situation say traces of old hurt haven't fully faded, and that lingering sting is what keeps fueling the talk of a possible run-in. What does this mean for everyday life? It means mutual friend circles suddenly feel like minefields. Dinners become strategic, premieres a balancing act, and a casual birthday gathering can be an event where every text message is dissected beforehand. According to voices from Hazal's circle, the actress is especially concerned that any stray line from the past could reflect poorly on both her and Çağatay, particularly now that their closeness has become free fodder for speculation. She reportedly wants nothing more than to let the past remain in the past and to avoid igniting a fresh wave of discourse about things she no longer wants to revisit. Meanwhile, the rumor mill paints a portrait of Çağatay Ulusoy doing what he always does. Keeping a calm head, staying out of the fray, and protecting his work from outside noise. Those close to him describe a familiar stance. He is determined to keep his focus on his new projects, shutting the door on distractions. In private, he said to frame it simply, he lives by the work, the rest is not his arena. That cool distance, however, has not cooled fan curiosity. If anything, the quiet from everyone involved only stokes the fire. Every pause becomes meaningful, every silence a new page for theory. So the question lingers, will this tense hush break, or will it hold? The entertainment world is a storm of careful steps. Though the separation that marked Hazal's past is no longer fresh, she avoids revisiting any detail that could stitch her current story to a chapter she considers closed. Insiders say her recent worry has less to do with scandal and more to do with unpredictability. She fears that an unplanned encounter or an offhand comment whispered to the wrong ear could lead to a chain reaction no one can control. And with the warm hum around her and Çağatay getting louder, any small reveal could be magnified into controversy by the time it hits the timeline. It's important to note that the ex at the center of this is, by all accounts, not aiming to escalate anything. People who remain in that orbit describe a person who is guarded, sometimes candid in private, and unequivocally protective about not embarrassing anyone in public. Yet the emotional residue of a long story often resists tidy endings. Friends say that is why shared events have become complicated, why certain invitations now carry invisible footnotes. For Hazal, the dread isn't a public showdown so much as the possibility of a misunderstanding turning into a headline within a few hours. On the other side, the portrait of Çağatay Ulusoy remains consistent. He is eyeing scripts, finessing timing, pushing forward with sets and schedules. He refuses to be pulled into a battle of interpretations. And that restraint, combined with Hazal's guarded quiet, has created a vacuum where audience speculation thrives. Some followers frame this as an almost cinematic standoff, a serene silence on the surface, roiling uncertainty beneath. Others think a single comment from either side, even a softly worded clarification, could shift the entire tone of the conversation. For now, every observer is listening for footsteps. Tabloid corridors are crowded with theories. Hazal has always protected the borders of her personal life, but this is a season where protection feels more like negotiation. If an accidental disclosure resurfaced old details involving her and the ex, it could complicate how people read her connection with Çağatay. The chatter claims that she has conveyed to her closest friends that dredging up the past would be the exact opposite of what she wants right now, especially when the public is already parsing glances, captions, and timing in search of meaning. She reportedly doesn't want to live in denial of history, she simply wants it not to become the currency of a new debate. As for the ex, confidants paint a careful picture. They say there's hurt, yes, honesty about difficult memories, yes. But there's also a firm line against turning private chapters into public theater. Even with those boundaries, backroom talk continues to warn that one overcandid remark, dropped in the wrong room, could be amplified until it's something else entirely. That is what keeps Hazal on edge, less a fear of truth than a fear of distortion. A nuance stripped away can look like a confession when it finally lands online. And the camera keeps drifting back to Çağatay Ulusoy, who seems intent on treating every bit of noise like a distant echo. The people around him insist that nothing about his routine has changed. The early call times are sacred. The scripts stay on top of the pile. He doesn't want stress to choose his narrative for him. He has been here long enough to know that engagement can sometimes be gasoline. By refusing to engage, he tries to keep the story from growing teeth. If you scroll through social timelines, you'll see how silence can turn into a spectacle of its own. Fans trade interpretations the way collectors trade rarities. One person is sure an old photo means everything, another is certain a new silence means more. The collective feeling is that the quiet is too loud, and that it cannot last forever. It might be a single polite statement, a photo from the wrong angle, or a text message leaked to the wrong ear that flips the script. But for now, all anyone has is the watchful calm. Entertainment insiders say the past few weeks have felt like waiting out a summer storm, still air, heavy sky, distant rumble. Hazal, who has always preferred to lead with her work and to hold her life close, is said to be hyper-aware of how narratives can spiral in moments like this. The fear is not about a scandal that isn't there, it's about timing, perceptions, and how quickly a breath can be misheard as a confession. Out of respect for herself and for the new rhythm she is building with Çağatay, she does not want old pages pulled from the archive and framed as a new plot. The ex's caution has added yet another layer. Friends describe a person who watches where they step, avoids rooms where unexpected meetings might happen, and keeps to a smaller list of trusted spaces. That care is seen by some as maturity, by others as a sign that the embers still glow. In either reading, this cautious choreography has given everyone else a reason to analyze who appears where and with whom. It has also led to speculation that if a meeting does happen, it could be civil, tense, or transformative, no one agrees on which. Through it all, the image of Çağatay Ulusoy remains almost stoic. He reportedly believes that a public back and forth never serves anyone well. If there is a conversation to be had, it will be private, measured, and focused on real people rather than the crowd watching from the balcony. He is, in his own way, a master of the graceful sidestep, rarely confrontational, never careless. Observers point out another pattern. Every time rumors about romance flare up, memories of prior relationships tend to surface, even without a nudge. That's the rhythm of celebrity life. But the current climate feels sharper. There is a sense that any mention of the past could ricochet into something bigger, and that is why both Hazal and Çağatay have opted for a delicate, almost invisible approach. They choose presence over performance, and that choice is both admirable and, for the audience, maddening. If you listen to production gossip, you'll hear about invitations turned down at the last minute, calendars adjusted to sidestep certain names on guest lists, and publicists drafting statements that never leave the Notes app. One insider describes a constant recalibration. What looks from the outside like distance is, on the inside, simply care. No one wants a misstep to become a headline. And still, the possibility hovers. A chance encounter at a festival, a backstage glimpse, a courtesy greeting caught on camera. It would only take seconds for that to become the clip everyone is replaying by midnight. A few people close to Hazal insist she has no desire to rewrite the past, she only wants it not to be weaponized. She has walked through love, work, family, and the absolute glare of fame. She is not trying to outrun history. She is trying to keep the present from being distorted by it. And with the internet's appetite being what it is, that's a task that calls for constant care. In contrast, the portrait of the ex remains necessarily blurred, respectful but wary, quiet but human, with with all the right to feel and the obligation to be careful. The prospect of any statement, even one delivered with kindness, makes the people who care about Hazal nervous. The stakes are not lawsuits or scandals, the stakes are interpretation and tone, which are harder to control than facts. And here stands Çağatay Ulusoy, steady as a metronome. The language from his side suggests the same conclusion over and over: let the work speak, let patience win, do not trade real peace for a fleeting argument. It is an unfashionable strategy in a world where posting first often feels like winning. But he has never chased fashion in this regard. He believes in tempo. All of these threads have created an air of suspense that spills far beyond studio gates. Fans, commentators, and curious onlookers keep refreshing their feeds, reading silence like a text. The idea that this poised quiet could crack at any moment has become the very thing that keeps the story alive. Would a single sentence, offered from any side, settle the dust, or kick it up into a new storm? That is the tension everyone can feel, even if no one can see it. For now, every sign points to restraint. Hazal carries herself with deliberate composure, careful in interviews, warm where it matters, and firm where it counts. She is, friends say, more focused on protecting the ecosystem she shares with Çağatay than on correcting every rumor that floats by. She would rather endure speculation than invite chaos. From the outside, it can look like a quiet battle, three lives orbiting each other without collision, each move influenced by proximity, each choice colored by history. Yet there is a widely shared hope that, if a meeting does occur, it will be ordinary, adult, unremarkable. That a polite hello will stay a polite hello. That a set of private memories will remain private. That grace will outweigh momentum. Until then, the industry watches like an audience in the final seconds before a curtain rises, breath held, eyes forward, every rustle interpreted. Will anyone speak? Will anyone step into the light? Or will the curtain fall again, leaving us with another evening of whispers and guesses and the soft hum of what-ifs? We'll be here to track every careful step. This brings us to the end of our video. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets and share it with friends who love a good behind-the-scenes mystery. See you in the next one. Goodbye.